Hello and welcome to Realpolitik. This is Johny, the Hindu's International Affairs editor. When Israel launched an all-out war against Iran on June the 13th, it said the attack was aimed at destroying Iran's nuclear program. On day one, Israel bombed Iran's Natanz nuclear facility and several ballistic missile sites, besides assassinating the country's top generals, including the Chief of Armed Forces. In the subsequent days, Israel bombed the nuclear facility in Isfahan, Iran's command centers, missile launchers, civilian locations, and even the headquarters of the state TV in Tehran. Israel has established air superiority over Iran. In retaliation, Iran has launched close to 400 ballistic missiles, hitting several targets in Israel, including an oil refinery in Haifa and a top research institute near Tel Aviv. While the air war is escalating, there are questions about Israel's endgame in Iran. What does Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu really want? If it is the destruction of Iran's nuclear program, Israel is far from achieving it. The IAEA, the United Nations nuclear watchdog, said on June 16th that Israel's attack severely damaged, if not entirely destroyed, the centrifuges at the Natanz facility. The Israeli strike had completely destroyed, quote-unquote, the above-ground facility at Natanz, according to IAEA Chief Rafael Grossi. The underground hall housing the centrifuges that enrich uranium was not directly hit. However, the loss of power to the cascade hall may have damaged the centrifuges there, he said. Mr. Grossi also said 4 buildings were destroyed at the Isfahan Nuclear Technology Center. This includes a chemical lab, a uranium conversion plant, a fuel manufacturing plant, and a facility to convert uranium hexafluoride to uranium metal. But there was no major damage to the Fordo enrichment plant, which is Iran's most fortified facility that has been built deep under a mountain. As Israel has aerial superiority, it can continue to bomb Iran. But there are 2 problems. One, Israel doesn't have the kind of bunker buster bombs or the strategic bombers that can carry such bombs to destroy heavily fortified facilities such as Fordo. So Israel's offensive is not going to be concluded anytime soon. And 2, despite Israel taking out most of Iran's chain of command in the initial strike, Tehran is still hitting back with drones and ballistic missiles. Israel's airstrikes in Iran have not reduced the intensity of Iranian missile barrages. At least 24 people have so far been killed in Israel. The Ben Gurion airport in Tel Aviv, the country's main airport, remains shuttered. If Israel's airstrikes do not blunt Iran's firepower, Mr. Netanyahu could come under greater pressure at home to wrap up the war quickly. And if Israel accepts a ceasefire without destroying the nuclear facilities, it could be seen as defeat. This leaves Mr. Netanyahu with 3 options. 1. Continue the relentless bombing of Iran, destroying state institutions and infrastructure, decapitating the regime, and pushing for a state collapse or regime change in Tehran. On June 15th, while speaking to Fox News, Mr. Netanyahu said Israel's attack could lead to regime change in Iran. The next day, he refused to rule out assassinating Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, saying killing Mr. Khamenei would end the conflict. But there is a grey area. Before starting the war, Mr. Netanyahu had urged the Iranians to rise against their government. But when Israel started widespread bombing across the country, killing hundreds of Iranians, it was an I told you moment for Iran's mullahs. They have always warned the public of the threats from quote-unquote the Zionist entity. So it is to be seen whether the Israeli bombings would weaken or strengthen the political and social roots of the regime. The second path is diplomacy. After the Israeli strike began, US President Donald Trump had said he was still open for a deal with Iran. On June 16th, there were reports that Iran had sent feelers to the United States through Gulf Arab countries that it was ready to return to talks if Israel stopped bombing. Mr. Trump's initial post suggested that he wanted to use the Israeli strikes as an added layer of pressure on the Iranians to get the deal he wanted. Trump wants Iran to completely abandon its nuclear program. But Iran, on the other side, is ready to scale back its nuclear program, but not to give it up completely. Even if Iran is ready to seriously consider Mr. Trump's offer, the question is whether they will return to talks when their country is under attack. So far, Iran has said no. So the next question is whether Mr. Netanyahu will stop his attacks to facilitate talks between the United States and Iran. If that would be the case, why did Mr. Netanyahu start the war in the first place? Just 3 days ahead of a sixth round of talks between the United States and Iran. A nuclear deal between the United States and the Islamic Republic of Iran has never been Israel's top priority. The third option is to drag the United States into the war. Mr. Trump has so far maintained that America is not involved in the conflict. But he admitted that he was aware of Israel's attack plans, even when he publicly voiced opposition to them. Israeli officials say they went ahead after getting a quote-unquote clear green light from the United States. Mr. Trump has warned Iran not to target American bases or soldiers, and Iran has been careful not to escalate the war beyond Israel. But Israeli officials, according to Axios, are pressing the United States to join the war because Israel needs American military involvement to meet their objectives. The total destruction of Iran's nuclear facilities, either through direct strikes or through regime change. If Tehran falls, that would be an added boost for Israel's efforts to reshape West Asia. The Assad regime in Syria is already gone. Iran's network of militants, including Hezbollah, has been weakened. Gaza lies in ruins. In the West Bank, Israel is free to do whatever it wants to do. Arab nations voice protest meekly. If Iran is rolled back, Russia's remaining strategic influence in West Asia will shrink further. China will be more dependent on America's Gulf Arab allies for oil. Mr. Trump's position as of now is to let Israel continue the bombing. He will not call for a ceasefire. But as the war drags on, with both Israel and Iran hitting each other, Donald Trump will come under greater pressure to join the war. Thank you very much. This is Stanley Johny. For more such videos, please subscribe to The Hindu.